real quick before this video starts, I am doing a best replays for Blitz. I have already published the first video and it is out. However, if you would like to become a part of this and see your replay in a possible video coming up, please send your videos to burningpeak30@gmail.com. I will leave a little blurb of it in the bottom of the comments down below. With my email, so just copy and paste my email in, put your replay, and give me a short description of what the game was, how much damage, and I will possibly feature your clip in my next video. Thank you. Hello there, world of tankers. I am Blitz, and welcome back to one of my videos. This is a video on the T34 1776, which is a American Tier 8 Premium Heavy tank. Which is pretty good. I'm going to get into the statistics as well as the armor profile, how to run this vehicle, where to run it, and how to take it out. So starting off, this tank has a total hit point pool of 1600, which is very, very healthy for a Tier 8 heavy. And not to mention, I do run the hit point buff, so I have 1700 hit points in this tank, which is a very large amount. Not only that, this tank also has a very nice view range at 271.2 meters, which is very nice as indeed. You can pretty much spot anybody that's going to spot you. The firepower of this gun is also one of the big strong points, with 2000 damage per minute and 248 penetration on your standard rounds, and you have 297 penetration on your APCR, doing 340 damage on APCR and 400 on your standard AP. The velocity of this gun is also very nice at 945, which is pretty good, judging that it is a heavy with one of these large caliber guns. Now, one thing I have tended to notice with American tanks is their shells tend to dip into vehicles' tracks and just destroy the tracks and not damage them. I'm not sure why, but that is one thing I've noticed. But the reload time of this gun is 11.79 seconds, and you may be asking why is mine 12.7, and that is because I do run calibrated. I feel that I would rather have my shell penetrate than have the opportunity of it bounce and then have to reload the whole 12 seconds instead of just waiting one more. That is my standpoint, though. The aiming time is 2.81 seconds, so it's not great, but it isn't terrible. And the dispersion on this gun is 0.317, which is actually very nice. That is a very good dispersion. The elevation of this tank is 15 degrees, but it actually has 10 degrees of gun depression, which is the big thing you want on this vehicle. Those 10 degrees of gun depression make this tank just so much more deadly when using it on a ridgeline, especially with the very well armored turret this vehicle has. Now, this tank is very heavy at 65 tons, and because of that, it has a very meager speed of 35 kilometers per hour and 12 backwards. And unfortunately, its power-to-weight ratio is only 9.77, which is probably one of the worst power-to-weight ratios in Tier 8, so that is one big downfall. This tank has a traverse speed of 30.37, and the turret traverse speed is 21.87, so in total that is about 50 degrees. So this tank will take about 2 seconds to turn 90 degrees if somebody is flanking you, so it still can stop flankers. Now, this tank has a very terrible concealment at 8.9%, not as bad as the M6 experimental, but it is up there just because this is such a large vehicle. Now you can see in this game we've managed to pick up 2600 damage with 985 blocked. You're really not going to ever block much damage in this vehicle unless you have it in a very good position using lots of gun depression. And I'll show you why once we get into the armor. But you can see that the gun is very accurate. However, it still does have sometimes the American accuracy, I call it, where the shells just randomly don't go where you want. In my opinion, American tanks, the only way to get their shells to go where you want them to is if you wait and aim in all the way, because if you just try and take a shot where it's not aimed in all the way, I've noticed that American shells just tend to go wherever they want. But I'm going to wait, fire. It goes right into the front plate of that larva, and we have picked up 2658 damage. This was actually a Mark 1, which I was very surprised on. But I did block quite a bit of damage, judging that I only had about, I don't know, 100 health left. I'm not sure how much I had. But we did 2,600 damage, 28,000 credits, and with premium we probably would have made about 60,000, you can see. We did a pretty good game though, 11 shots fired, 10 hits, and only 9 penetrates. You're hitting about 80% pen ratio there, but it is pretty good. But let's get stuck into that second replay. Now this second replay is featuring my friend Jinx. He is one of my close friends in the Blitz community, and he is going to be platooning with me in his 34 1776. You can see me in the Scorpion down there. And this was just a spectacular game he played, one of the best ones I've seen in this tank in a while. And he's just going to illustrate how good this tank can be, and as well as how bad its armor can be. So I'm also going to show the armor profile real quick for you guys, so just you can see how it works, and then we'll get into where you can run it. Now, frontally, this tank, it looks pretty green, and that's because it is pretty green. It's only about 150 thick on that front plate, which means pretty much any vehicle, tier 7, 8, or 9 will penetrate you, which is very depressing. However, this tank has an even worse lower plate. You can see it's only about 91, 100 thick. That is a big downfall, because that means an RH MBWT or an ISU or T49 can actually load HE and penetrate in your lower plate, pretty much taking out 900 damage. Not only that, but that little gun port that you have on the front of the tank is also only about 77 thick, which means if an RHM is face-hugging you, it can hit that and also do 1000 damage, which does suck. However, you can see that that turret is a very red bulb. It almost looks like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And that is because it is 220 thick on the cheeks to 250, and the mantlet is completely impenetrable. The whole turret is very hard to penetrate. There is a cupola, but it's very hard to hit. It is only about 57 millimeters. Not to mention, when using 10 degrees of gun depression, it makes your upper hull about 190, so you can actually start to bounce vehicles with that 190 thick hull. And you make your turret 266 on the cheeks, and nobody's hitting that cupola when you're using 10 degrees of gun depression. Now the side of this vehicle is extremely weak. The rear side is actually only 51, so if you are on the side of this vehicle, you can actually penetrate it with high explosive, especially in a 49. Just get to the side of it, shoot it, and get out. Not only that, but it'll probably light it on fire. The rear of this vehicle is only 51 thick. Now, the turret is actually very thick on the rear too, which is kind of odd. It's 203 thick on the rear. So some players can actually get a bit confused when they are shooting at it. Now, into this game, you can see my friend here has picked up 1600 damage, and it is 3 versus 3. I am still alive, but I won't be for long. He's at 634 health, and you can see he has only blocked 0 damage, which means that this tank really just has not the best armor profile, but we will see if it does hold up. Now, I am sitting at 335 health, and the Conway is at 166, so pretty much we are all one-shots. I do slam that shell right into that M6, and boom, down I go. I wasn't sure if that M6 was actually going to be able to get that shell to me, judging I was behind the bush, but unfortunately he does. Now my friend, he is using that excellent gun depression, and what? That shell flies right into his tank. It must have gone right into its cupola, because I have no clue how that penetrated. Now he is going to try and use that gun depression once again. This Jag Tiger is a one-shot, but he just can't get past my dead wreck, unfortunately. That may have cost him the game. I don't know. You will have to find out. Now, he is sitting at a potential one-shot for both of these vehicles. Now, if you do see that ST1 has the stock gun for that tank, which is the very crappy IS-3 gun. So that is not good. But Jinx is going to miss his first shell, and he's probably thinking, oh, I'm screwed here. But the ST1 shoots an HE for 4 damage. I'm not sure why. Probably not a very good player at all. But my friend botches another shell. Always make sure to aim in, even if you think it's going to penetrate. Always aim your shells in, just because it's always worth it. Then Jag Tiger, it's going to pull around the corner. Come on, come on, come on. Slams the shell into the side of that Jag Tiger. And now you are face-hugging the ST1. Again, 99 damage. You're down to a potential one-shot even with the HE. 158 health. And he's going to slam a shell into the side. Oh no! And it tracks him again. and that ST1 has a potential to kill him right there in the sides, but a heavy tank flanking a heavy tank, and this is not a very quick heavy tank, so that is very surprising. Jinx is probably cursing and smashing his keyboard right now on how many shells he's bounced, and he's sitting at 21 health. However, Jinx will easily penetrate the shell if he just waits, aims, and fires. Boom. Kills the ST1. It was not an easy kill, but it did work out. No clue why that ST1 was shooting high explosive. And he managed to pick up the Mastery, 66,000 credits, 3,462 damage. Now that was a very tense game, especially for him. I was with him on voice chat. You couldn't even hear him speaking because he was so focused. That is how crazy that game was. Now you can see he fired 14 shells, 12 hit and penetrated. However, I think he bounced a couple more than 12 because it looked like that ST1. I think he hit 3 times or 4 times and it bounced. But overall, it was a very good game. I give him very good credit. Mastery, I would have called that a Calabanos if I could. But you can see best on the team by far. I actually did not do very well that game, unfortunately. But overall, a very nice game. So I would actually suggest to pick this tank up, but you have to be a fan or just want credits, because personally I would just say pick up the Lurva. I think the Lurva is a bit better of a vehicle, personally, but the 34 1776 is a collectible tank. It's not super expensive, so hey, whatever suits your boat, I would say to get it. However, thanks for watching my video. If you did like this video, please tell me down in the comments below, as long as with a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, please tell me as well down below with a thumbs down. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.